This is all about getting your heated water system ready for the winter so it doesn't fail on you. We want to make sure your system is ready for winter. Well, what does that mean? Well, what it means is we have to make sure everything that keeps your system from freezing is going to work. So number one, make sure you have power, okay? When I say make sure you have power, that means you have verified it with something you know does work. So if you have a voltage meter, perfect. Put a voltage meter on the outlet to make sure you have power coming all the way to your coop. If you don't have a voltage meter, use something like maybe like a cell phone charger that again you know is working. Maybe a lamp, maybe a hair dryer. Plug that in. If it fires up, you know you got power. If you don't have power, the system is simply not going to work. The other very important part about making sure our water system will not freeze on you is making sure we have no restrictions in the system. And this is probably the number one reason why our customers' systems will fail. So what I'm going to first do is show you what you have to do to make sure we have no restriction. So just so we understand what's going on, I have about 50 gallons of water inside this rain barrel. Down here I have the hose bib. I have it open all the way, okay? So I know water should go through that. Now gravity, that water level's right about here. Gravity's gonna push that water through the hose, then it's gonna push it through the pump on the inside of the water bar. It's gonna go through the water bar, and then it'll level off. We have a hose over here that'll level it off right there. In order to make sure that the system doesn't freeze, we gotta make sure that there's no restriction. And how we're gonna make sure there's no restriction is I'm gonna look at the flow. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna unhook here. I'm gonna leave the hose bib open. I gotta let some water out anyways. That's really good flow. I can tell you right now, that is exactly what I'm looking for. If it's a little dribble or anything less than that, we're gonna need to pull this out and make sure that gets flushed, which technically, you know what? I'm just gonna show you how to do that right now. So I'm gonna close that. All right, now let's say you don't have this flow right here. This is, I can tell already, this is a really good flow, but let's say you don't have it. Here's what I do, and it's because it's the quickest, easiest way to really make this effective, but it's probably the messiest way to do it. And that is, I'm just gonna simply unscrew the hose bib by hand. Yes, a lot of water is about to come out, and actually I want a little bit of water to come out. I'm gonna get ready for it. And just like that, boom, okay? Now I'm flushing out water at the bottom, and I'm gonna check the inside of the hose bib. It absolutely looks beautiful. The O-ring that is on the back side of the stem looks really, really good. It's not cracked, there's no debris, and I'm not surprised because I already had really good flow. Now, there have been times that I've had bad flow, and all I did is I let all the crap flush out. Sometimes I can let the water go, do one of these, and clean it out, okay? So I am 100% happy right now with the hose bib. When you put the hose bib back in with water pressure, don't overthink it. Make sure you don't cross thread it. Here we go. And so just like that, I got it seated. I can feel those threads kind of sit well, and I'm just threading it back in. Again, this is not a way for everyone to do it, but that is the quickest, easiest way. The other way would be to actually just drain all the water, clean it out, and you know, I don't like wasting water, but there you go. There's our flow, okay? Now, let's hook this back up, and I'm just gonna go completely to the other end of the water circuit, if you will, of the whole entire water system, and that's at this hose right here where it returns back into the rain barrel. Now, I got water coming out over here because it was so full, and look, I don't even have a gutter. It just collects the rainwater, even without a gutter. It's not what I recommend, but I'm gonna let that drain out. While that's draining, I'm just looking for debris. I'm just looking for something that looks like it shouldn't be there. So what this is proving to me right now is I got continuity, if you will, through the circuit. There's nothing completely blocking the water coming through this system. And that's just gravity, okay? So that's about what I would expect for a water flow, okay, without the pump on. Now, here is gonna be the critical part. I am going to turn the pump on, all right? And how I'm gonna turn the pump on is I'm gonna plug the pump directly to my power source. In this case, I just ran an extension cord out, which for the record is not ideal. Technically speaking, for the de-icer, you should have a dedicated circuit grounded right here. I'll leave that up to you. I've done extension cords all these years. Works just fine for me, but again, for the record, is not ideal. So I'm gonna plug it in. And what I'm hoping for is I hear the pump come on. The pump is on. It is literally that quiet. Don't plug this in right now when it's warm out thinking your pump's gonna come on, because it will not, because this doesn't tell the pump to come on until it's cold out. Now, I have water already circulating back through, so I'm gonna see how it's looking right now. Oh yeah, that's good flow. It should be no less than 1 gallon a minute. If you have anything less than 1 gallon a minute right now, the water cannot return back into the system before it can freeze. Now, obviously, if you're just below freezing temperature, you have a little bit more forgiveness versus if you are down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this system is designed, believe it or not, for 500 gallons down to negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So way overkill, it's just the way I like it. So again, I have the pump on right now. The pump is really, really quiet. That means I don't have any air in it. Beautiful. The pumps are not self-priming. So that's why the water bar has to be pitched up a little bit to let all the air out. And again, I have really good flow. And you can just take a milk jug and just make sure and time it that you are filling it up within 60 seconds or faster. Here is the other very important critical thing to make sure you do. We need to verify that the de-icer is gonna work, and we need to verify that your heat it is gonna work, and here's how we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna pull this out. This has not been out of this rain barrel at all. This entire, again, about this time last year is when I cleaned it up, and we need to clean this up right now. I got a lot of buildup. It's probably like manganese and other minerals that might just be around this area. Now that doesn't mean this won't work. Now I also want to be very, very clear. This is a de-icer, not a heater. Is it a heat source? Yes. When we plug this in and the temperature gets down close to freezing, it will automatically come on. It is not meant to heat your water, where if you were to walk up to your rain barrel, that the water is warm to touch. If that is happening in your case, you got the wrong de-icer. This should only keep the water about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's right where we want it. We're gonna go do what the factory calls a reset, and also just verify this is ready for the winter and that it's working. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna take the heat it, and we're gonna go inside. Now, this has got some pretty good buildup, where I would think we may need to soak this in probably vinegar. I feel like, I'm not a chemist, so I'm not 100% sure, but there's buildup. And it kind of almost makes me think I wish I would have pulled this out last spring and cleaned it, because the longer it sits in there, the more this is gonna build up because it's sitting in the water. You know, and everyone's water is gonna be a little bit different, whether you're topping off the rain barrel with your city water, well water, whether you're collecting rainwater. Also, as you're cleaning it, make sure you don't see any penetrations going into the cast. This is actually cast aluminum, and eventually they will wear out. Eventually they will need to be replaced. I want to say, I think the manufacturer says about every 5 years. I'll have to double check that warranty. And when I do, I'll put it in the description down below. Or I have so much confidence in these things. It's just such a great, great product. I'm going to go ahead and at least test it. You know what? That's a good point. Why take all the time and clean this if maybe it has failed? So let's do that first. So we're gonna take this to the freezer. We're gonna put it in there for about an hour. We're gonna come back after an hour, pull it out of the freezer, plug it in, and it should, if it's working, be warm to the touch. So we're gonna stick this in the freezer. Perfect. Now, the other thing we wanna do is test the heat it. The thermostatic switch is what tells the pump when to turn on and turn off based on temperature. Now, I cannot emphasize enough, this is also another huge mistake a lot of people make. Because it's called a heat it, it's just a brand name, okay? There it is right there. It doesn't mean it gets plugged into the heater that I just put into the freezer. Again, that's why it's just a de-icer. This is only meant to have the plug from the pump to be plugged into here, and then this plugs into the outlet. Okay, so please don't make that mistake. If you plug your de-icer into the heat it, your system's gonna fail. Your de-icer already has its own thermostatic switch, and that's all this is. It doesn't need two of them. So you're just gonna plug your de-icer directly into the outlet once you know it's worked, which is what we're about to do now. And then we're gonna do the same thing for here. So right now, if I was to plug this in, I'm gonna plug it in. I have a green light there. Green means go, right? So I'm 100% confident I got a microwave plugged in there. So this is not on, okay? So I'm not surprised because it's warm out, all right? This will not come on until it's cold. So I am also, to test this, to verify it, we're about to put it in the freezer. I'm gonna come back probably in about a half an hour. I think that's all it's gonna take. Technically the manufacturer says 45 minutes. I'm gonna give it 30 to 45 minutes. So we'll be back and we will test it. It's been about 30 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the heat it and the de-icer. They are very, very cold. The microwave is on, so I know the plug is working, and watch this, boom. That LED came on, which tells me this is working. I need to interrupt real quick because I just realized when I shot that shot of showing how to verify the heat it, that I was doing something that you're not supposed to do, and that is assume. Just because that little LED comes on, right, we should not assume that it's working. So this is actually the right thing to do. So I just pulled this out of the freezer and I'm gonna plug it in. The LED is on, but honestly, if you have a voltage meter, a hair dryer, a lamp, a phone charger that you know for a fact is working, this is the right way. Verify that everything is working on the inside. So we're just gonna stick our probes in there, in this case with my voltage meter, and there you go, okay? I got 123.6 volts, so now I have verified this heat-it switch is working for sure. All right, now for the fun part. We can unplug the heat-it. We know that's working. Let's get the de-icer. Now again, as soon as you pull it out of the freezer, plug it in. Don't wait like I did, but it's still really, really cold. And once I plug this in, I will feel it get warm, typically within a couple seconds. So here we go. Again, it has its own thermostatic switch on the inside, so I don't need anything else. It's gonna plug it in. It thinks it's winter time, and it's already warming up. And maybe you can see how that frost is starting to disappear, but I promise you that is warm to the touch. We did two things. One, we know it's working. Two, what the manufacturer recommends doing is just that every single fall, because of that drastic temperature change. It kind of jogs the metal in there loose, all right, that makes the switch happen. That rapid temperature change, that rapid on and off helps jog it loose, or what they call a reset. We verified this is working. We verified the heat-it is working, so now we're gonna go back out to the coop. We are gonna drop that down into the rain barrel. Don't forget our new rain barrels, the entire lid comes off. That's pretty cool, but just like that, make sure that de-icer lands on its feet. They are kind of like a cat, they always do. We'll put our screen back in there. I would go ahead and plug the pump into the heat-it, okay? And then I'm gonna plug the heat-it into our power source, okay? And the pump just came on because it still thinks it's cold out, all right? But I promise you, when this is room temperature, it will not come on. But please, again, I cannot emphasize enough, the mistake that people make is because this says heat it, they plug their heat source into it. This is a big no-no. Don't do that. Again, your de-icer has its own thermostatic switch. You're gonna plug this directly into its own power source, and then you're gonna plug the pump into the heat it. Now, there's nothing that says you can't in the wintertime technically just plug your pump directly into it. If you're up north and it gets cold a lot and you just want to eliminate this out of the system, even though I have a lot of faith in this device, this is one of the best thermostatic switches out there, I don't have a problem with that. Please remember, our pumps are not meant to run constantly year-round. Your water system will still work without the pump on above freezing temperatures. Me personally, I like to plug this in to the power source, plug the pump into the thermostatic switch. And also, here's a little pro hack. When I'm using an extension cord, I'll take the extension cord, I'll just round that over, okay, just like that. Stick that up in there underneath a rib, and I'm done. The soffit helps protect this connection. Also, oh my gosh, here's another not so common mistake. I actually made this mistake. If you have storm shields on your coop, okay, like the polycarbonate run covers, and have your thermostat, your thermostatic switch on the inside of the run, because it's gonna be warmer inside the run. Your rain barrel's outside, so your thermostatic switch needs to be outside of your coop if you got those storm shields on, or even if you wrapped it in plastic, same thing. Hopefully that makes sense. Rain barrel's on the outside, so should be your thermostatic switch. So that's another big no-no. Please, please, please do not run a power strip for part of the electrical supply for your heated water system. A lot of electrical strips have a little reset button on the side that's meant to protect that circuit, because we're all guilty of it. We see that power strip and we just plug everything in there. We'll have 4 different heaters and who knows what else plugged into it. You can overload that power strip, and that's what that little reset button is there for, is to prevent it from overloading. I wanted to interrupt again and actually show you what I'm talking about. Now, this is kind of a fancy power strip, but I wanted to make sure when I say power strip, you know what I mean. Okay, guys, you've all seen this. Of course, the newer one's got the USBs right there. And a lot of them, so right there, like this one has that surge protectant right there. These are designed for people that plug in. It's not that it's plug in too many things that require a lot of wattage, a lot of amperage, okay? So a lot of these power strips have a surge protector in there, okay? So when you're pulling too many amps, it shuts off so you don't heat up the wires and start a fire. So it's just doing its job. Please do not use a power strip when plugging in your heated water system. Let's recap real quick. Number 1, make sure you have proper flow. Turn the pump on, make sure you have at least 1 gallon per minute flowing. And also, when you're doing that, make sure you're about this level, because this is where you're gonna have most of the head pressure. It actually, if you come down here, that's not a fair test. The gravity is actually assisting the pump right here, versus if it's up here, about the same level as the brass fitting on the back of the rain barrel, that will make the pump technically work a little bit harder, but that's just called head pressure. No big deal at all. We do make mistakes, things freeze, things crack. We sell all the replacement parts right on our website at carolinacoops.com.